Activate your millionaire mindset using your head and your heart. The right mindset coupled to a super healthy body. So we're talking about getting your head, your heart, and your health in the right place for you to move forward, for you to achieve every single thing that you desire, want. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm David Hawes, and welcome. So, when you look at the subject, I literally said, I'm sorry we broke our planet. What am I talking about? And why am I sorry? This is a very interesting subject, and to some people it might be very, it might hit a nerve. They might not be very comfortable listening to this conversation because the conversation literally is about our climate and climate change. And people say, it's all the academics and it's all mainstream media, and they're trying to sell you a product, and they're trying to do this, and they're trying to get you to vote this, and they've got an agenda, and they want this and they want that. And I'm saying, no, I'm sorry, we broke our planet. And let me tell you why I'm 100% certain of this thing. 40 years ago, when I was in my 20s and I was riding my motorbike backwards and forwards to work, we used to have our typical Joburg storms. Now, let me explain to you what a typical Joburg storm used to be. That's why I say we've broken it. Used to be, no longer. Used to be. In 40 years of my lifetime, of my observation, we've broken the planet. We've broken the climate. And this is not academic. This is what I've seen with my own two eyes. So back to what a typical Joburg thunderstorm was like when I was in my 20s. Bright sunshine, wind starts blowing, clouds come over, bam, thunderstorm, heavy rain, lightning, thunder, all the stories, clears up, bright sunshine again. You can literally go from bright sunshine to through a thunderstorm to bright sunshine again in a space of, depending, can be hour and a half, 2 hours. And that was our weather when I was in my 20s. I only got used to it. And I remember getting caught numerous times and getting soaked to the skin. Because when it rained, it rained. Those thunderstorms, I mean, the drops used to come down. Wow, man, the size of, they were big. When they hit the ground, they were big. They were actually noticeably big. Bigger than any coins I've seen in any currencies. When I was in my 20s, 40 years ago here in Johannesburg. Fast forward to today, that's why I'm saying I'm sorry we have broken the planet. The weather in Johannesburg now, we get overcast, starts raining. Generally doesn't, sometimes it rains relatively hard, but not anywhere near our thunderstorms. We still have a lot of thunder and lightning. Why? Joburg is the second highest lightning strikes in the world. And this is documented because the power utilities know this. So we still get a lot of thunder and a lot of lightning. That hasn't gone away. But what has happened is the way the rain comes in and the way the weather deals with it, we can have sometimes 12 hours, sometimes 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours of overcast with drizzle. Sometimes it drizzles all night. Look, I quite like it because I like that sound of the running water in the gutters around me. And this is how we have broken the planet and the climate. In that space of 40 years, I've observed in my lifetime, and I pause there because that's actually when you think about it, we have impacted the climate and Mother Nature to a point that the weather has changed noticeably here in Johannesburg, me personally noticing that. Then, without much of a sweat, I hear about this time of the year, it's February at the moment. This time of the year, the southern USA, that is Texas, Mississippi, and Florida, are having a snow warning. Listen to what I said, a snow warning. Florida is called the sunshine state for that exact reason, that the sun shines there a lot. They've got their beaches, they've got their beach clothes. I mean, Florida and Miami and that neck of the woods is known for its warm, hot, humid climates. Having a snow warning. Seriously? Now, you can look at this and say, it's just two things, but here's the reality of it. I'm not part of mainstream media. I don't have a product to sell you, or a website to go to, or anything to push you in that direction. I'm going to mention something that I'm doing to mitigate the damage I've done and my generation has done. And look, a lot of that, I understand it. When you drive in your car and you're catching an aeroplane, and all the goods that we purchase are brought to us by ship, and that produces huge amounts of pollution, huge amounts of greenhouse gases, CO2, methane. Methane's even worse than CO2. A lot of people don't realize that. Methane is, I think they say 200 or 250 times more destructive than CO2, and people always worry about CO2. And there's a lot of methane produced by a lot of things, and something that we can deal with personally, which I'll come to shortly. So, yes, we use our cars. We use, depending on what you do in business, you use an aeroplane, and you travel either from city to city or around the world, whatever it is. Those spaces are very difficult for us to change and reduce our carbon footprint. You can't go to your boss and say, I'm not climbing on an aeroplane anymore. I'm reducing my carbon footprint. So then he's going to say, okay, how are you going to get there? You can say, well, I'm going to go by ship. Well, ships produce as much or more pollution and greenhouse gases as airplanes do. Look, it's a debate. The numbers are there. I'm not going into the percentage of who's better or who's worse, or the numbers are big. And look, these are big industries. They're big industries. And by the way, both of them are in the process of looking at reducing this. One of the things the aviation industry is looking at is electric aeroplanes. Now, they're looking at electric aeroplanes to cover the short distances. And when you look at the numbers and the statistics in the aviation industry, I think majority of aeroplane flights worldwide, globally, on a daily basis, are under, I can't remember the distance, it's 300 miles or 500 miles. So that is a perfect space for the electric aeroplanes to step in, and quieter, easier, better, cheaper. Well, look, cheaper, they've got to get to that price parity. A lot less pollution to the planet than the traditional way that we do that. So that's one way that the aviation industry is very aware of this. And there's other players coming into the marketplace, because, most people think, when they think of aeroplanes, it's Boeing and Airbus. There's another player coming into the marketplace. It's a Chinese company. Yes, they do use some of the Western technology, particularly in electronics and aviation and engines and that kind of stuff. But here's the interesting thing. They've got a big enough domestic market that they can refine this and get this thing sorted before they even think of going international. So that's where the aviation industry is aware of it, and hopefully moving in that direction to reduce its emissions and its pollutions and CO2 and methane and all the ugly gases. The other one is the shipping industry, and they're also very aware of it. They're looking at that, and there are one or two electric ships, again, shorter distances. They're not yet putting in ships that are going, what do they call it, from one continent to the other, across the big pond, because we've got some big ponds in shipping. So the good thing is that The grown-ups in these industries are very aware of it. And I love it when they actually give the engineers, because the engineers are good people. They give them a problem and say, here's the problem, solve it. Look at it, work on it, solve it. And of course, obviously, you put enough time, effort, energy, and money into something, generally solutions do come out. And sometimes you need a breakthrough in another industry, or like the chemicals for the batteries. The chemical industry gets a breakthrough, does that. And that feeds through the whole system in electrification of everything. Cars, aeroplanes, buses, trucks, ships, spaceship. Well, I know spaceships will get there. Who knows? That's another story entirely. So from a planet point of view and from a climate point of view, the mainstream media sometimes can be our best friend or our worst enemy, depending on what is the agenda and what is their forte, and literally who's paying the bill. Who's paying you to say what you're paying? Because they literally, I love the way the statisticians put it. The company comes to them and says, can you do statistics for us? And they literally sometimes say, well, you paying us, what do you want the results to be? And that's sometimes how it works. Just skew the results that, do all the research in inverted commas and come out with the results that are favorable to us as an industry, whatever it is. I like that kind of thing. This is good for you. This food or this process is good for you. And you say, who told you? It's like, milk's good for you and this kind of stuff. And they say, who told you? Oh, no, it's the dairy industry. Okay. So there's this thing. So what can you and I do here and now to reduce our footprint? And the easiest one is the R's. Reduce, reuse, recycle in everything. I have moved my entire kitchen to plastic. I don't use, look, number of things come in one time, plastic bottles. I literally, when possible, and I make it as possible, I decant it into glass. I reuse the glass. So reduce, reuse, and recycle. That's the first thing. In your home space. Also, start becoming aware of what you're doing. Be conscious of it. Don't just do things automatically. That is us human beings, where we get a habit and we do things automatically without thinking about it. So do things consciously. And then the one thing that I've actually done, which will actually be a book of mine, which will be how I moved from eating meat to eating grass. And by the way, that is one thing that you and I as individuals can make a huge difference in our planet, is literally moving away from eating meat. And there's a very interesting documentary. It's a documentary it's a YouTube documentary. Look at it, look for it on YouTube, and it's called Eating Our Way to Extinction. It's narrated by Kate Winslet, and it's about 1 hour, 20 minutes. It's worthwhile watching every single second of that video. It puts things into crystal clear perspective, and it actually shows you how you and I as individuals, not as big corporates and big companies and big industries, change the world. You and I. And people that will say, but how powerful is just one person? Just one person is extremely powerful. Think of an ocean and a wave. What is that wave made up of? Water. What is that water made up of? Individual droplets. And that's really what it's about. Get a big enough wave happening and enough people happening, it'll start making a difference. So again, it's a YouTube video. It's called Eating Our Way to Extinction. It is narrated by Kate Winslet, and it's about 1 hour and 20 minutes long. When I watched that video, I went from being a vegetarian who ate fish to literally becoming a vegan. No fish, I do eat eggs. So that's the story. That's what I want to leave you with. Have a watch at that YouTube. It's a documentary. It's a documentary, and it's wow. It's, yeah, like I said, when I watched it, it actually changed my thinking, my mindset, and literally the way I eat. And on that note, I will leave you with this. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay blessed, and remember, you are light. When you like what you've seen or heard and it's brought value to your life, please like, comment, subscribe, whatever platform you're on, or subscribe, like, comment, whichever it is. Please do one of the three, or ideally all three. Peace be with you.